getting rich or wealthy or whatever it is, and everywhere around looks like a worn-torn country. Like, screw that. What's the point?
Yeah.
The quicker that we can get our friends, our family, our community onto a Bitcoin standard, the easier our lives will be and the lives around us.
Welcome back. Today I have Sean Clarke with me from Good Day Bitcoin. Thank you so much for joining me.
Such a pleasure, Staci. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, it's so nice to have you on today. I am really thrilled because I've known about you. I've seen your channel before. I love what you do. I love your podcast. And I was actually tagged in a post, so I immediately reached out. It was somebody that I know on X had a bad day, and you reached out with such kindness, and it really made her day. And then she made my day. I felt so happy seeing that because he deserves it. It was just really nice to see somebody that cares, doing something kind for someone else. That just makes me appreciate the Bitcoin community so much more. Did you come across your timeline? How did you see that post that he wrote?
Yeah, really randomly. So, backstory for everyone, there's a post by the Bitcoin DJ, Jason, put out a post, and he said he'd come home and there's a cleaner in his hallway. And he was like, oh, that's a little bit weird. Haven't really had a cleaner here before. Went inside, came back out, and his bike was stolen. So I was just reading it, sort of doom scrolling on X, and I saw this, like, oh, that sucks. I had a lot of bikes stolen when I was a teenager. And no, just that feeling, is something you feel like your personal space has been violated. So I just reached out and said, mate, send us your Bitcoin address and I'll send over some sats. But I'd never come across Jason before, or anything like that. But I know what that feels like, and I could relate, and I had empathy, and Bitcoin allows you to do that. I had no idea where he was in the world, or anything. I didn't know who he was at that stage. I have had him on, and we've got a podcast coming out shortly. Super, super, super cool guy. Couldn't have gone to anyone better. But it was just, it's just fate. It came across my timeline. I saw it, and at the end of every podcast, Staci, I say, please do something nice for yourself today and for somebody else. Be blessed, peace. And that was my opportunity to be able to do something nice for somebody else that day. So it was perfect.
That's so amazing. That's your philosophy. That's what you say at the end of every show. And then you had the chance to do it with him. It is fate. It feels like it was that way. But his personality is just so positive. He's such an energetic
Isn't
human.
he? He's amazing.
Yeah. And even from what he wrote in the post, he wasn't complaining in a way where he was pissed off at the world or having a bad day. He was like, man, that sucks. I didn't realize that guy was there to steal it. He put, all good though. I won't let it get me down. I'll keep stacking sats and staying honest. So that was just so nice. Just him saying that.
That's right.
You doing what you did just so casually, just saying, hey, I'm going to do this. It was so inspirational. That's the kind of stuff people want to share, kindness in the world, and it does make people happy. So that's amazing that's the end of your podcast, is to tell people to do that also.
On that note, have you ever seen, actually two things before I talk about this incredible movie. It's my favorite movie of all time, and it's probably where a little bit of this comes from. And just being an idiot as a kid and a teenager, I've got a lot of karma to do good in the world. I think I'm sort of getting there. But if Jason wrote his post and he was blaming that person, he was having a pity party, it was so unfair that this happened and this person's such a prick or whatever like that, I would have just kept scrolling. But it was because of his genuine energy putting out there. And, there's a saying that popped into my mind. I have seen it written down by other people before, but everything is everything and everything is energy. And we are what we put out into the world. So if we're putting out good energy, like you were saying, we're going to attract good energy. And then sort of where I was getting with the video is called Pay It Forward. Have you ever seen it?
No.
It's amazing. It's so old. I watched it. We had it on DVD as a kid. Basically the premise of the movie, it's so sad at the end of it. I won't spoil it, but people watch that movie. It's so amazing. Yeah. But basically the premise is there's this young kid and his teacher gives the whole class an assignment, and to be able to do good or to be able to create change in the world. And before he comes up and presents as this young kid, he's like, I'm going to get everyone in America or China to jump up and down at the same time. And the teacher's like, what change is it going to do? He's like, I don't know, like it might do something. And then this young kid comes up and says, what I'm going to do is I'm going to help 3 people. And instead of just random acts of kindness, and instead of those 3 people paying me back in kind, the law of reciprocity, I want them to be able to pay it forward. So those 3 people turn into 9, and then it keeps expanding out and out and out. And that's really how you create change in the world. Like if we can be good ourselves and then do good to others and then ask them to be able to pay it forward, or just, not expect anything back in return. I think that's how we start to change our own life, our family, our community, and that ripple effect. And especially like with all the insanity in the world, it's not hard to be kind. Like it's so funny. Bitcoiners get labeled as toxic. We have no feelings. We're psychopaths. There's that New York Times article or whatever it is. And we may come across like really hard line and stuff, and not really, at least for myself, I can speak for myself here, may not come across with like nuance and an X message or whatever, being like, you're an idiot. Like if you don't get Bitcoin, like you've failed or you're stuffed up somewhere or whatever. And people talk about altcoins, you're like, oh, they're all shit coins or whatever. It's like Bitcoin only. And people think that we're heartless basically, but it's just maybe a little bit of tired of hearing the same thing over, but caring so much and just wanting to like shake people and get them to wake up, because it's so important, like right now with everything. But that's something that I'm mindful of, is the way that I communicate. While I try to do good and be the best person possible, maybe sometimes the way that I enact may not translate properly. But I think I have noticed with every Bitcoiner that I've come across that they're all willing to do good in the world, or they just want a better world. Like we've got better money.
Yeah. I feel like anything is possible when you have that as your base. You see hope for the future. You actually have faith in the future. So you just become kinder. When you're a Bitcoiner, you value your time, right? So you know that
Yeah.
you value your time because you save it in a money that preserves your time and your energy. So you value it, so you don't want to waste it. Sometimes after you've tried enough to explain things to people, you're like, okay, I'm not going to just frustrate myself. You kind of just seem cold, I guess. But when it comes to actually, oh, my camera is going crazy.
I was
Um,
wondering what was happening. I wonder if there's like a special feature or something like that.
yeah, it's like, whoa, let's make it look like it's spinning. No, it's actually this new camera that I got, but it never did that before while I was speaking. But I think it moves with me. It actually tracks me. So
Yeah.
it's like a little, I call it my little robot helper camera. It's like my own cameraman. But I didn't realize it was
Super
spinning.
cool.
Yeah. But yeah, I think, it's just Bitcoiners do want to do good. They do want to see a better future. Let's say he did post and he said it in a way where he was pissed off at the world. It's not like you don't want to help people, but sometimes when you help people that have that mindset, as much as you do for them, they're still going to feel that way. I just think that you still should try to always do good in the world no matter what, but Bitcoin makes it easy for sure. Bitcoin makes it where
Yeah.
you didn't know where he lived when you were able to, instantly send money across the world. I even think that Bitcoin helps, in a way with charity. It helps fix that world, because right now we're living in a world where, people want to do good and they want to give to charities, but you realize the money is so broken and there's so much corruption that there's so much stolen money. So even if you are giving to a charity, you don't know if anyone's benefiting from that or if someone's lining
Yeah.
their pockets. So Bitcoin is there's charities being started right now that are Bitcoin based sound money charities that or nonprofits, where you could actually verify that the funds are going there, and they're multi-sig, so people can't just take it if they want. It has to be multiple parties approving it. So
Yeah.
Bitcoin fixes the act of giving.
Yeah, very much so. And I think like the easy giving as well. So like there's Jason, which is good. Like I pay like anyone that works on my channel in Bitcoin, I get paid in Bitcoin as well. And then whatever's left over, I've got that money to be able to give to charity. And I've got a charity over in America that I can give to, and I know who they are, and I pay them in Bitcoin to be able to do it. It's going directly to that person. There's no permission, there's no KYC, there's no stopping, there's no fees. Well, there's like the fee on Lightning or Base, depending on what I'm sending it on. But like that's so minuscule, and especially at the moment, the fees are so cheap at the moment. So just sending it through a main chain, and it's like it's easy as I can do it at whenever I want it. It's there instantly. Like from an Australian bank to an American bank, I reckon you're looking at the quickest 4 days, but probably 2 weeks. Whereas it's there, in a couple of seconds on Lightning, or 10 to 60 minutes on Base. It's just the possibilities that Bitcoin allows, and shows up, and just how easy it makes giving in general, or to be able to do good. I think that's amazing. But back to your earlier points as well, when you're saying, like, we don't want to help people that are like negative or down in the dumps and stuff. It's not necessarily that, but like I've spent a lot of my youth and stuff. I had a interesting upbringing, but where I really had like a victim mentality. And then I'd complain, I'd whinge about everything else, and poor little old me, etc. And I just sort of like wondered why I could never get ahead, or like I always wanted free handouts or things like that, and I didn't really want to put in the proof of work. And then now that I've come out to the other side, I realized like that was the energy I was pushing out. And, I'm not, God to me is the great outdoors. It's the energy, it's the sun, it's nature, whatever that creator is. So that's when I say God, that's God. But one passage out of the Bible, and I'm going to totally butcher it, I do apologize, but, those who have nothing, like more will be taken away, or those who have a lot more shall be given. People can work out what I'm trying to say there. But like when we have nothing and we're at that lower energy or that lower vibration, if we're to get a little bit woo-woo, people at a higher vibration that have the capacity to be able to do good and stuff, it probably just, they're on a different plane of existence. They're just either not aware of you, or they just go past and it's not even in the peripheral vision. And it's not that they're heartless or they don't care. It's just that they're operating on a different frequency, is the way that I see it. And everyone's like so busy and everything like that. So it does take like even more of a concentrated effort. If you see someone that's really struggling that energy, to be able to have empathy and start to relate and come down to their level, to at least to be able to connect with them, and then hopefully bring them up to your level. But I think it's a lot easier if someone's starting to struggle, but they've gotten out of that dip and they're starting to do a little bit more and increase their vibration, their energy. It's an easier match. And then instead of like giving them a handout, which may be the right thing, but not necessarily. I think it's better to teach a man or woman to be able to fish instead of giving them food for the day. I think they're going to be more receptive to advice, or if you offer them a job or whatever it is. I think it's going to be a little bit easier for them to receive and easier for that person to be able to give, which doesn't sound very fair. People that are down in the dumps are probably going to get looked over a little bit more. But
it's so, I love what you're saying, and I don't mean to cut you off, but I love how the direction you went with that, because it's that almost how you mentioned like a different perception or a different dimension or something, like your higher vibration. So it just reminds me of something I actually said yesterday, that when you're thinking about ants, you're walking up to a bunch of ants, they're just busy doing their thing. They don't notice a huge human about to kill them, and step on them. So they don't see, because we're on a whole different, level. Like, even though we're giant, they're not scurrying away, trying to run away from us. Like, they don't even see us because we're in a different plane, but a different dimension. I don't know, different perception level. So they just don't notice us, so it's like, I think that's what that sort of reminds me of. But I just think that you have to make a conscious choice to change your life and look for an answer and find something like Bitcoin, sound money, where you can save your time and energy. Because once you make that conscious choice to ask questions and say, I need to change something in my life, and you have to do it, then you're right. Like once you make that change and once you make a shift and you want to better yourself, then more positivity comes to you. It's an attraction thing. And and I just think that before I get to the next thing, if you want to comment on what I just said.
Um, yeah, like I really feel like when you align, say, with Bitcoin, before Bitcoin, I was already on this path to be able to show up and do good and be the best that I could be in the world. But once I found Bitcoin 6 years ago, it was like the cheat code is like something just unlocked. And the way that I have perceived it is because Bitcoin is based on math and set rules and no rulers. Like it's truthful money, it's honest money, it aligns with the DAO. It's just like it's neutral or it's good money. It's not like fiat, which is manipulated and has a bit of distortion, fuckery, evilness around it. Excuse my language
All right.
with it. But when we're aligning, I think, to truth in any way, I think that helps us so much more. But because money touches like every area of existence, if we're using that as our foundation, and it isn't easy to be able to grasp. It's easy because all you need to do is put in the proof of work, watch the podcast, study, buy a little bit, and just stay sort of in touch. But it's hard because a lot of people don't like reading, or they don't want to spend 100 hours watching podcasts, etc., or take that risk of putting their dollars into Bitcoin. That's what makes it hard. But if you just do those things, it's super easy to be able to understand. And then in the short term, or even this year, where Bitcoin's sort of gone sideways pretty much for the entire year, you're not going to notice like your wealth or anything changing like that. So it forces you like to really look out and then keep coming back in to have conviction that you're doing the right thing. But then I think what people find by using Bitcoin as that foundation, and they start to build up savings and money that can't be debased, confiscated, censored, stolen, manipulated. There's no inflation schedule to Bitcoin, etc. When you're aligning with those type of principles and then you start to bring those into your own life, whether it's health, spirituality, your relationships, your finances, the skills that you're stacking to be able to get more Bitcoin, I think the character of Bitcoiners in general that have been around for a while are more centered, more grounded. They've probably got a bigger heart, although maybe not the time capacity or sort of what we were going back to before. They may not see everything, or they may come across toxic, but it's with good intentions. But I think by aligning like with that solid foundation, every area of your life starts to level up. And then, when we get one of these upwicks or whatever, then your finances catch up to where you've leveled up or whatever. And then when you're at that stage, it may go down or it may go back up. But even like the downs and the dips and stuff, they teach you something about your emotions, your psychology, the way that you show up in the world, the way that you react to numbers on a screen. Like they're just ones and zeros. One Bitcoin's one Bitcoin. The fiat prices are irrelevant. But when you can start to do that, like that'll translate into every area of your life, and you'll become like a better person, better pilot, better employee, or a better boss or teacher or manager or whatever it is. Like in every area, I think it has that ripple effect because we're now basing our life back on truth.
Yes, exactly. That is so well said. And it's because Bitcoin protects your time and energy. So Bitcoiners value their time and their energy. So,
Just on that, Staci, can I just jump in? It protects it over time. It doesn't protect it in the short term. Like if someone bought at 127 and it's now at 87, it's like, oh, holy moly. But that's where the conviction and the books and everything come from. But as soon as you get to a point where as if it drops and it's not really dropping below whatever your happiness number is, like that's a silly way to explain it or articulate it. But that number that you're comfortable with, maybe you got a whole Bitcoin and you're happy with $50,000. It's near 100,000. So anything over 50,000, like you're happy with, and you don't worry about the price things. But anyway, sorry to cut you off.
I'm so glad you said that because it's true. That comes at a later stage. When you first find out about Bitcoin, it takes time for you to understand that even though there's there's 30% ups and downs or whatever there is in Bitcoin, it's not, after you learn enough about it and after you learn how fiat is so broken and how inflated it is, how much it steals from you, you don't care about the price anymore. You just want to see your stats growing. You don't want to
Yeah,
see,
more.
yeah, you're not worried about the price. I don't care. Like I barely look at the price kind of since I started the podcast. I've been so busy with this. I just don't even, I'm just working, I still work and then I just save in Bitcoin. That's just how it goes. But that comes later. You're right. It's not like it comes right away. But I think I just wanted to touch back because you said, that Bible quote, and it's kind of how, um, because we value, like when you understand Bitcoin and you save your money and your time and your energy in Bitcoin, you don't value material things as much. It's not like you care so much about the things you used to and the consumerism. So it's um that other quote from the Bible that I like to refer to is the meek shall inherit the earth,
Yeah.
because it's like the people that have everything now, they're gonna be the ones with like, kind of like thinking of it like dust. It just, it turns to nothing. Like it's not, but energy is forever, so you're saving your money in Bitcoin and it's energy. Um, and then also going into the idea of energy and what Bitcoin is, how people think sometimes that, well, what is Bitcoin? I can't touch it. I'm not holding it, but you're saving your money in a protocol that's backed by immense energy. Um, and I just think of it as, um, you know, the energy that you gave when you shared your Bitcoin with Jason, when you gave him something for he was also showing positive energy. You shared your time and your energy with him. It's like sharing this energy back and forth. So even our energy, our positivity, our negativity, it's not something you can tangibly hold, but it's real, just
Oh,
like
yeah.
Bitcoin is real.
Yeah. Yeah. Like if you hang out with a negative Nelly for an hour or a couple of hours or whatever, and you go home, you're like, oh my gosh, like what's going on? You're like, probably end up doom scrolling for hours and hours and hours, and then you start to spiral even further down. But if you're like with someone that's like, I freaking love life, like how amazing is this? You're like, yes, let's go. Like I'm ready to take on the world and do whatever it is.
How secure is your seed phrase? For ultimate security, use microseed. With this kit, you could stamp unlimited washers with an entire seed phrase, 12 or 24 words, on a fireproof piece of metal the size of a quarter. It's discreet, it's durable, and it's the best choice to protect the key to your Bitcoin.
So, like, obviously, you can't like hold Bitcoin. It lives in cyberspace and stuff. But like, there's so many ways to be able to store your seed or your multi-sig and stuff. But this is a 1-inch washer by Microseed, and you can fit like the 12 or 24 words on it. Like, it's insane. They're so small. But what I'm getting at is it's a washer. Do I have a screwdriver? No, I don't have a screwdriver in here. But I've given these washers to people and be like, there's Bitcoin. So like, that's an easy way to be able to sort of realize it. Like, obviously that's not your Bitcoin. It's just access to the Bitcoin, but giving them something that's sort of similar to a coin that has the 12 or the 24 words. And I could just put the 12 words on when I'm giving it to people. I just create a hot wallet and stuff like that, and say, go home, create a new wallet. Sometimes I'll give them this device as well where they can punch it out. But
We're twins.
there are ways to be able to get people used to the idea. How awesome. Have you had Daniel or Robin Sayer on the pod?
Yes, I did. I had Robin.
Yeah, cool.
I'm glad my camera didn't move when I grabbed that. That would have been funny. But yeah, I had him on. I had Daniel on the show. So, and Daniel's amazing too. And I love microseed. I think it was the coolest thing doing it. But you're right, giving them, first of all, you're storing your key, your the access to your Bitcoin somewhere safe where you know it's not going to get destroyed, that's a really great way to tell them like you're holding that access. You know, that's
Well,
really cool.
it's super easy. Like you give them that, you get them to download something like Aqua or whatever. Say,
Hmm.
put those words into your phone, and then the Bitcoin just shows up there, and they're like, "Oh, wow!" And you're like, "If you lose your phone, you just need this little coin, this little key to be able to access and stuff." Um, and that's sort of like almost like an orange pill journey inside of like 5 or 10 minutes. It's like so quick. And then if you go on to give them the punches and a hammer, and then you come back 24 hours. Like they're so far ahead of their Bitcoin journey than most Bitcoiners. Like so many Bitcoiners don't have their Bitcoin in self-custody, which is the only reason Bitcoin has any value whatsoever. You take away the self-custody part. If you couldn't do it, Bitcoin would be worth zero freaking dollars. Like, and so many people don't do that. They want the ETS. They want to leave it on the exchange, collaborative custody, whatever it is, shared custody, shit like that. No, take 100% self-responsibility.
Yeah.
Punch out a seed, a micro seed, a normal seed, whatever it is. Get it off Amazon, wherever. Even start off writing it on paper. But that's like where the power and the purpose of Bitcoin
Hmm.
comes from. And people are like, oh, it's so scary. I want to leave it on the exchange because it's similar to a bank or whatever. Like Bitcoin's the separation of money from state. The banks are so bad. And you may have trusted the banks. You may live in Australia where the banks are quote unquote okay and profitable. Some of the most profitable banks in the world in Australia. It's a Ponzi. But anyway, putting that aside, it is new and it's different. But when people like start to do those things that are unique to Bitcoin, it may seem a little bit hard until they're shown how to do it and they realize, oh, this is easy. And then I
Yeah.
don't need any permission. There's no like spending limits. There's no time limits. There's no delay limits. There's no fees that are going to get charged just for holding this washer or whatever. I think that number one, it empowers them super quick, but it also puts them onto the path of becoming a Bitcoiner properly and having freedom money. Because I think more so the number go up and stuff like that. That's what's so important, like right now with everything that's going on in the world.
Yes. And look how you know, thinking of the whole toxic talk and how Bitcoiner could be toxic, but you're talking about teaching people how to use this and seeing how excited they get when they realize how easy it is. If anyone knows a Bitcoiner, they know that we've talked about it with them at times, many times. You know, like we have tried probably to
Endless.
everyone we know. And then at some point, I like when you just sit back and think, okay, I've done the work. Now you come to me. I've planted the seeds. You can come and ask me whenever you're ready. And then whenever you do ask me, I would love to talk about it because that's what we love to do. We love to help and teach you when
Yeah.
you're ready, right? So once they are ready, and I've had people, you know, pay in Bitcoin and I've shown them, you know, pretty much not because they really want to understand Bitcoin. I would offer them a discount. So they were like, okay, fine, I'll take the discount. How do I do this Bitcoin thing? And once I
Yeah.
showed them, they would realize how easy it is. And they're like, thank you for showing me. Now I know how to spend Bitcoin, therefore I know how to buy the Bitcoin. And then
Yeah.
they know that I've talked about it with them before. But so what I just mean is that like I would love to show you if you ask, you know, but now at this point, knowing that you do a podcast, knowing that I do a podcast, it's like we're doing the work by putting our voices out there. We're talking to people, we're sharing knowledge. You know, people can listen at any time they want. And if they know you in real life, especially, and they haven't asked you, like you would totally sit down with them
Yeah.
and talk to them about it because we love it,
No, I've
right?
got a good story about that. But just before I get to that, and I'll make it quick, I'll make it brief. Like I will just try tell everyone over and over and over again, but after a certain amount of time, you're like, these people are still so asleep or whatever. This is a waste of effort. If they're at a party and I've spoken to them 5 or 10 times about Bitcoin, there's somebody else I haven't spoken to about. I'm not going to waste my time anymore. And that
Hmm.
seems so harsh or whatever. You're going to go to the new person and get them to do it. Um,
Hmm.
and then what I'm doing now is I ask if they're a reader. If they're not a reader, I'll recommend What's the Problem by Joe Bryan on YouTube, the video. If they are a reader, I carry copies of it, the big print, like literally these two are labeled to be able to send to people. Yesterday I was at a cafe. There's a lady there working on a laptop. Just got on talking real quick, and brought up finance and stuff and just randomly like sort of snuck that into the conversation. I'm like, oh, you're a reader. And she's like, yeah, I am a reader, actually. I'm like from this conversation, I've got a book and it just happens to be in the car. That's the best book on finances you could possibly read. If I give it to you, do you promise me that you'll read it? Yeah, absolutely, I will. What do you want me to do when I'm finished? Just pay it forward. So like we'll always help people and like to be able to have the resources and stuff. But if someone reads the big print, front cover to back cover, and they're like, I'm not interested in Bitcoin, I'm like, sweet. That's all good. Like I've done my work. You understand enough to be able to make your informed decision. Obviously, I think that's wrong, and maybe you're missing a couple of things. Maybe you just skipped over one or two important points. But at least you know that they've got enough information. Whereas someone just says, oh, I'm not interested in Bitcoin, or it's magic internet money, or it's a Ponzi scheme, or it's a scam, or whatever. You're like, based on what? Oh, the news, or I'm just not interested. Like, I don't care if you're not interested or not. You're making probably the worst mistake of your life because you're not making a choice from facts or understanding. Like, you haven't verified. Maybe it's still not going to be the right choice for you, but you need to actually have the right information and the mindset to be able to comprehend whether it is or isn't. But my story, just going back with like orange pilling people and how much we try to do it. When I was employed, I was for somebody else. I'm self-employed. When I was working there, I just like every like really good podcast that I was doing in the early days, I'd try share those with them. The books, like so many copies of Beers for Bitcoin. It's a really small, short book. The big print came out after I left there, well and truly. The Bitcoin Standard I tried to give out to a couple of people. They sort of like gave it back. They're like, oh, this is too intense, like brain overload. But I just like try to give them resource, whatever, bring it up like every second day or whatever tool. They're like sick and tired of it. But anyway, in my resignation letter, I spent two sentences saying thank you very much for the employment. And then I spent 2 paragraphs saying, hey, this is my last time to be able to prompt you to study Bitcoin. It's important for this, and this reason. I've tried so hard. I understand you haven't put in the proof of work. I really think this is the most important thing I can say as I depart. I hope you do study Bitcoin, and I wish you luck. Thanks very much for the job and all the skills that I acquired. Please study Bitcoin. But like, that's how important I think it is. And they would have read that and been like, this freaking prick, like stuff you know. But
You're like, it's fate that I'm reading this. I have to check it, you know?
Yeah, you just want to like do every single thing we can to get someone to wake up, to put in their own work. But unfortunately, like I ask Tony Yazbek all the time, I'm like, can we just flip a switch from the Bitcoin way? Can we just flip a switch to get people to get Bitcoin or wanted to pay attention? But you can just maybe give them enough not like inspiration to then go in and put in their own proof of work. And it's like, how do we get effective with that? I'll try all different ways. I don't know if the resignation letter was like the best way to do it, but it was like simply like my last option, my last chance to do it. So just trying all we can and like never giving up. It took me 5 years, about 5 years to get my wife to read a Bitcoin book. And I had to blackmail her into listening to the big print with me on a road trip. I said I wouldn't go unless she listened to it. And she's like, you can't do that. That's unfair. And I'm like, this is freaking unfair that you don't understand Bitcoin to the extent that I need you to understand it to. And then, you know, a little bit of tension stuff and listened to the book reluctantly. And then we got to the last 3 hours and she started to like bawl her eyes out. So I like pull over with the car and caravan. I'm like, darling, what's wrong? She's like, you saved me. You saved us. You saved our family. I didn't get it. I thought you were crazy. I thought it was just magic internet money and an investment. Like, thank you so much, Sean. And like I say that because I've got a podcast, I've talked to the best and brightest within Bitcoin, I've read so many of the books or whatever. I get it to an extent where I've got like 100% total conviction. And then my wife has obviously like owned a lot and bought a lot and stuff, but it's sort of just by osmosis. but I knew that she didn't understand it to the level that she needed to for the long term. And so just not giving up and being relentless, and instead of choosing the easy option of, yeah, we'll go on the road trip, I don't want to cause any arguments. It's like, no, like this is the line now. You have, like, I had to do that because that was the right thing for our relationships, even though it was hard at the time. And that can sound heartless. I blackmailed my wife into listening to a book.
I think you need to blackmail your spouse. That's what happened. That's what you
Yeah.
have to. I mean, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, this is, truly the first time, um, that I actually almost I mean, I was like my eyes were watering, like, I was gonna like, I had chills, like, I always get chills, but I wasn't on the verge of crying other times, but I just think that is so makes me so happy that you blackmailed your wife.
That makes
I
me so
guess.
happy I blackmailed my wife.
I know. I mean, like, you're like, "It sounds so heartless." I'm like, "And it made me cry," that you blackmailed her.
That's the most romantic thing any man could
Yeah.
do. And like
Oh
it
my
freaking
god.
is. Like gentlemen
Yeah.
or women out there, whatever you have to do, you have to do it. Your partner has to get what you're doing, because otherwise they're going to perceive you as crazy or whatever it is with it. Like it's very hard to stay a normal person once you start to go down the Bitcoin rabbit hole. I think you level up as a person, and I think you grow in spirituality and consciousness and awareness and stuff. But normies, NPCs, they're not used to that.
I love that. I always say
You
that.
have to bring them up to that level. Otherwise, there's going to be disconnect, and it can be freaking hard.
The way that she reacted is so amazing. Like,
It's life changing
I
for me.
mean, the gratitude and the thankfulness and, you forced me to do this and thank God you did, but thank God you've been doing this all the time, like this whole time
Yeah,
anyway. Like, thank you for saving us. And that's what it is. It's like you're saving your family. You're not just doing this because you're trying to gamble on something. You found out a way to protect yourself and protect your family. And as a man, like women, I'm not trying to say it's a man thing. Women, we're like mama bear too. We want to protect our kids. And it's like you get fierce and protective, but like a man who that's your job. Like you're like the protector of your wife and kids. Like you're like, I need to like this is the best way to protect them for their future. Yeah, you want to shake people. You want to shake people and wake them up. And when it comes to the whole ETF thing too, it's like, do you trust the system that much? Like, do you trust that the whole collapse that happened with the mortgages and whatever year that was, 2008 when Bitcoin started,
yeah,
it was literally a bubble that popped. And the way I see it, I don't think it's just the way I see it. I think the way a lot of financial experts see it is that we're living through a credit bubble at the moment. And, the way that this money is being printed and the money you're putting into your stock thinking you have Bitcoin exposure, it's like when the day comes when things come crashing down is like, I mean, again, this is extreme scenarios of things, but it's like the way that you think of it, if you think I'm going to take what I have out of there, like a bank run on the stock market, let's say, if things start to really crash or something, and then they don't have it, they don't have the
yeah,
Bitcoin to back it up that they say they have, it's like you can't just leave the country with your stocks if you wanted to go to another country and just get out if you don't like something. You have to try to sell those first and take your assets with you, which is impossible to travel with. And I think Bitcoin is the ultimate freedom. Obviously, it is. It is from that. You could just take it in your seed phrase of your mind and go anywhere you want and escape without having to sell a stock that they won't even give you access to if they don't have it. So, I mean, it's literally just crazy to believe in the system that much. The system that's stolen from you all these years. And once you realize it, but I just love that she like hearing. So she heard the audiobook of that when you took your road
yeah,
trip. So, and he goes into backstories at the beginning of the book too. He talks about his family history and how, they try to do what's best for their family and start a company, and then they get wrecked by like, inflation, interest rates, you know, the way that they play with these things, it wrecks lives, wrecks families, wrecks businesses. And it's like, that's why people feel like, how do I win this game? It's not possible. Like, it's not possible when there's cheaters all the time,
yeah.
like always cheating.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't even think I wouldn't even call that cheating. Those people, the quintillionaires, those closest to the money printer, they're just working the system exactly how it was designed for them. I don't think anything. I think it's nefarious, but I don't think like they're going out of the scope.
Mhm.
Fiat is distorted money, and those people that control it have the power to distort it. Of course, they're going to. Like that's that they created it that way by design to be able to do those things. So Fiat works perfectly well, in the words of Izzy, the CEO of Amber. Like it's working as intended for them. It just doesn't work for anyone else. And like now we have something else
So
that we can step into
how long do you think, like, do you feel like the way I feel is like everyone needs Bitcoin. So if you're in poverty, you need Bitcoin.
urgently.
Yeah, if you're middle class, you need Bitcoin because you're technically like in poverty during this time.
Yeah.
If you have kids, you need Bitcoin. If you have parents that are older, all these reasons you need Bitcoin. But if you're at the top of the chain, if you're the quintillionaire, like you said, closest to the money printer, how long before, like, eventually it'll hit them, right? Like, it's not like they will be able to print their way out of it forever. Like, eventually it's going to get to everybody. Eventually everyone will need it. It's just now there's certain people that need it more urgently than others to protect themselves, where these people that are able to benefit from this distorted system don't have to worry about it in the moment. But at some point I feel like it's gonna affect everybody one day.
Yeah, yes and no. I think it's going to affect the quintillionaires less, and for this reason. Those quintillionaires, they get the money first and they put it into assets, and they try to put it into hard assets, gold, real estate, fine art, fine wine, classic cars, etc. And not so much Bitcoin, but they're not holding the cash because they know that they're losing to inflation. So they are holding something that's tangible. Within Bitcoin, we say like if everyone was in a Bitcoin standard, house prices and stuff would come down. They'd be used for their utility value, not for their investment value. But even if like the rest of the world was on a Bitcoin standard, quintillionaires are holding assets and those assets have come down a little bit. People still pay Bitcoin for those assets, for their utility value. So they've still got like enough stuff to be able to sell, to be able to then get into Bitcoin.
My idea kind of goes in the direction of, the deflationary train that will hit the inflation train, like the AI and tech boom that's going to hit the world and finally start to bring prices down. I have a feeling that that's why the money printing is going to this extreme level, because they know that I've heard that government is more afraid of deflation than they are of
Of
inflation.
course. Yeah.
So are they just printing the hell out of the money because they know that this freight train of deflation is about to hit? And then are those assets going to be, you know what I mean? Are they going to be able to sell these assets for as much money once this deflation hits and everything starts to cost less because of production and labor jumps up through the roof because of AI and robotics and all these things? I feel like we're living through this pivotal moment of Bitcoin is here. We have sound money. You're kind of screwed if you're thinking that you're safe when everything starts to. And then if you have Bitcoin and your Bitcoin price rises, then it'll cost you less Bitcoin to buy those things off of them over time. So I feel like
Well,
it's gonna be a just giant flip, like an inverted world. I don't know.
it will be a flip, but I think just because of the total access that they have and the amount of assets and stuff. Say, like for simple numbers, they got like $1 billion in real estate today while it's in an inflationary environment, and then hardcore Bitcoin deflation hits the market or whatever, and that $1 billion worth of property is now only worth $100 million in Bitcoin that they sell for. They've now received $100 million in Bitcoin. So it wasn't $1 billion, but now they've got still that purchasing power of $100 million in an environment that's going to continue to deflate further and further and further and further forever now that we're on the Bitcoin standard. So while they've gotten 10 times less than in the inflationary environment, they've now got sound money. And as things get cheaper and cheaper, it's over time, it's going to be able to buy 10 times more. So it's not going to equate like 1-to-1, but I think I'm only talking about the quintillionaires and stuff that like
Mhm.
right at the top with the big assets and stuff. People that are just sort of like second or third order and down from them, but they don't have the assets and things like that. but maybe just saving, or like more so in stocks and things like that are more fiat denominated instead of like a physical house or a physical bar of gold, etc. Yeah, I think it's going to hit them really hard. And it depends. There'll be a point where the stocks and stuff still have value to an extent, but as Bitcoin's coming up, and it's just how quick can they jump across, and that's when we get that slowly, then suddenly, and then everything
Yeah.
else loses total value. But yeah, like those guys, excuse the Aussie language, but fuck him, who cares? Like who cares about them? We're not them. We don't know them. They're on like another level. That's as close to whale shit as possible, but like up high, floating around. But for like the poor and the middle class, or just the average person, having Bitcoin in self-custody is so important. And I think people have 3 years, at least like in places like Australia, to get Bitcoin into self-custody easy. With digital IDs, social credit scores, CBDCs coming out, I think the off-ramps from fiat exchanges, from cash into Bitcoin, or the on-ramps from fiat to Bitcoin, if you want to call it that, I call it the off-ramp out of the system, I think they're going to close, or they're going to get very, very hard. Like there's already KYC pretty much with everything. And there's ways around that and stuff. You know, people talk to the Bitcoin way if you need to get led in that direction, or YouTube, Google, whatever. Like find ways to be able to do it. But everything's like tracked and monitored and stuff. But I think it's going to get worse and worse and worse. And I think I say I think, I don't know, nobody knows, but my belief is it's pretty likely. And potentially the banks will allow you to buy Bitcoin, but they'll hold it on your behalf like the ETF does and stuff. And yes, you're exposed to number go up and everything like that, and the government will be okay with that, because when you sell, they can collect all their income tax receipts and stuff, but they don't want you to hold that freedom money, and they're going to make it harder and harder and harder and harder. So I give it 3 years to be able to get as much Bitcoin in self-custody. I think that window is going to close, and then there's going to be the have-nots. And that's saying like the have-nots and the have-yots, but I think it's going to be the people that have a resemblance of like free choice in their life to be able to do as they wish. Like I eat a lot of steak, about 6 kilos a week. The WEF only wants people to eat like 300 grams or whatever like that. I will go straight to the farmer. I'll pay him in Bitcoin to be able to get the steak. I will be able to have that choice. I can go rent a plane or a car or a train or whatever it is. I can do anything with Bitcoin. The people without it, social credit score too low, can't catch the train. You know, like social credit score too low, can't buy gas this week, or your central bank digital currency may have a negative interest rate. So if you don't spend all the money that you're allocated this week, it's gone by next week. So you can't have any savings or anything like that. And then you're trapped perpetually in that system that just wants to extract your time in the way of labor. And you're a slave. You're just tax cattle. And I think there's going to be a huge divide. There'll be the current quintillionaires, there'll be the Bitcoiners, and I think over time those two will flip, or they'll at least be equal in our lifetimes. And then there's the people without Bitcoin. And if they're holding gold, they'll probably be all right to a lesser extent. But everyone else is, I feel, is going to be decimated, destroyed. I think they're going to have their souls, their livelihoods absolutely crushed. And like, I don't want to live in a world like that. And I'm sure you don't either. And I think that's maybe where the toxicness comes from, is like, wake up. Like, we're almost out of time. Tick knock, next block.
It's like we've gotten to the point where we as Bitcoiners, we see these things that are playing out, and you can comfortably wear a shirt like that that says, I told you so. And you are right about it, because look, the institutions did want Bitcoin. They are now involved in Bitcoin. There's governments getting Bitcoin. There's all these people that need it, and they're slowly starting to jump ship, where everyone's going to need to jump, like that suddenly moment, like you said. But it's like, we have been right. I haven't been in Bitcoin for a long time, only since 2020. It's not like you're just saying these crazy ideas that are one day going to happen. Like, things that we have thought would happen have happened, and they're going to continue to happen. So it's not just some crazy person talking about, it's not like you're the first 2 years in Bitcoin, you're talking about how it's going to be taking over the financial system and everyone thinks you're nuts. It's like these things are starting to happen and you're seeing it. So it's not just crazy talk. It's actually it's real. Um, so I just think that the the other thing is a psychological moment. I wonder, because right now we're at block number 928,202. And I haven't done the math on when the millionth block will be here, but I think it's going to be soon, like pretty soon, within your 3-year mark. Millionth block is upon us. We are at a psychological number level of Bitcoin entering a new era. We've already hit the Zeta hash era now. We're entering new territories of Bitcoin
Yeah.
time. Like the block time is going to be million plus after that. Um, and at the same time, it's not just block number 1 million. It's like we're going to be at mined 99% of the Bitcoins will be mined, and it'll take till the year 2140 for the rest. So we're at this like pivotal, like exponentially, it's just all this is happening similarly around the same time.
According to AI, and I didn't put in today's date or anything like this, but it reckons around mid-2027, maybe May 2027. Yeah, we'll do it.
We're close to 99% of all Bitcoin being mined. Millionth block incoming. And I just think that when people worry about the price, which is ridiculous right now, I am excited.
It's like the best early Christmas present, like time of recording, we're a couple of days out from Christmas. Embrace it. Like any dip is buy the freaking dip, ladies and gentlemen. It's so good.
Somebody that I told that bought Bitcoin and they immediately got scared and sold it. And then they were like, oh, I heard it got to like 120 something. I wish I would have still had it so I could sell. And I'm just like, oh, like, what are you? Because they're just thinking about trading Bitcoin when you're thinking that now the bull run is over or something, or I should have just traded it because it's something to trade. All I think about is how the Fed interest rates were raised the highest and fastest ever in history. And we haven't seen Bitcoin in a low interest rate environment this cycle yet. So anyone who thinks that we're, I don't know, scared for some reason, it's like we haven't even seen the low interest rate thing yet. So this is just kind of like a fake out. It's kind of, I think, to me, and again, I'm no economist or anything, but I just like Bitcoin a lot. But it's pretty much, feels like suppression since choke point 2.0. I feel like everything is just sort of suppressed or like anticipating something. It feels like a lot of anticipation and a big explosion, probably within your time frame that you gave, like that 3-year get as much Bitcoin as you can idea. That's kind of where I'm at with it. And if you hear this and think like you guys are nuts, but then, the whole I told you so thing in 3 years, it's just kind of pay attention. I don't know, like read the book, read the big print, look at how your wife got blackmailed and reacted after she was forced to listen to it. It's incredible.
Yeah. I think, for everyone, if you've stuck this far into a Bitcoin podcast, like you're already paying attention, well done. And then like when you're talking to friends and family, some people will read, the big print. I think it's absolutely excellent. I've bought hundreds of copies now, handed out. I think that's absolutely like the right way to go. But if they're not a reader, finding podcasts like with Staci or somebody that they can resonate with, I can come across a little bit toxic or maximalist or whatever. And so like with my wife, I'll give her a Natalie Brunell podcast to be able to watch, a little bit more grounded, a little bit more level-headed, just sort of relates a little bit easier. But just trying to find what it is that invokes that curiosity in that person to be able to wake them up, because once they wake up, then there's two people doing the job of spreading it. And it's the same as like paying it forward. Then we get this ripple effect. And the quicker that we can get our friends, our family, our community onto a Bitcoin standard, the easier our lives will be and the lives around us. Like stuff getting rich or wealthy or whatever it is, and everywhere around looks like a worn-torn country. Like, screw that. What's the point? You may as well just be broke on everyone else's level and stay down there in the dumps. Otherwise, you're going to be so far removed and unhappy anyway. So, like, we really need to push push this out and pay attention. I think if anyone wants to have any freedom, it's Bitcoin and self custody, not on the exchange, not on the ETF. Just as much as possible, as quick as possible, and tell as many people as possible.
Yes, and you want to see them happy. You want to see their kids do okay. You're not doing this because you want to live in that world where you can buy a bunch of stuff and live like a king. Like that's not what we're trying to do. What do they say? The tide rises together or something like everyone.
Rising tide lifts all ships.
Yeah, there we go. And you sort of what I was saying.
I was picking up what you're putting down.
Yes, that's the whole idea of Bitcoin. And, everyone who comes into it, it's not like they're taking from you. They will also be uplifted. It's a game that everybody can win. It's not like you're joining, now you're going to start investing. And did you pick the right brokerage company or somebody who's going to give you the right advice or somebody who's going to teach you to invest the right way because it's some kind of trick that you need to know how to learn. You don't have to play games with Bitcoin. I love your passion and I love how you're handing out books to people. I love how you're handing out the big print, how you got your wife to understand it. I just can't get over that. The thing with Jason, paying it forward, your energy is incredible and your vision for the future, wanting to help others it shows. How long have you had your podcast?
I think say 5 years, but I think at least for the last three and a half, it's been Bitcoin only. So that was a period of time where I was talking about the shit coins and stuff. Came into long story short, I try not to mention it because I have no time for altcoins or crypto or whatever. But anyway, I came in to Bitcoin through altcoins. First off, I heard about them because I just wanted to get rich. 2 weeks later, I found Bitcoin, and then very quickly I understood that was the money. So all profits and everything I made, I put into Bitcoin. With the altcoins, I didn't really know what they were. I knew they weren't like sound money. They weren't like digital gold, but I thought they might have been like new technology and to allow file storing, decentralized file storing and things like that, or just interesting ways to be able to take power away from the man. Soon woke up, got rug pulled and scammed pretty hard, and I was like, oh, fuck, this is all just rubbish. I'm not interested. And I can't even entertain a conversation with someone's talking about it. I'll just walk away and say, thanks very much for your time.
I was the same exact way when I get involved in crypto. You think that's what draws people in is everyone's trying to find an answer, is trying to find a way to save themselves, their family, so you're trying to find another investment. There's this new type of investment. It's this crypto thing. Maybe there's we all kind of nobody comes in and you're straight Bitcoiner right away. Everyone kind of, I think most people.
Yeah.
Most people, yeah.
And the worst part is those altcoins and stuff is they have a team behind them, and that team has capacity to be able to spend money on marketing. So it's very effective. There is no marketing department for Bitcoin. It's just people doing it out of passion, not out of an incentive, ultimately. So it does take a little while to separate the signal versus the noise. But once you do, it's like, oh my God, I wasted my time. I wasted my life. Even though I made a profit with it, I would not go back and do it again. I ended up staying where I was to be able to stack skills, to be able to not be able to draw down on the wealth that I'd accumulated from it. But I would have been even further ahead, as instead of trading for that time, I just went and stacked skills relentlessly, and then it would have been more favorable. So we only have a finite amount of time, and really need to be very intentional with it. And Bitcoin's that cheat code in all things.
Thank you so much. Yes, that is so true. And I appreciate your time today. And I appreciate, you sharing your knowledge with people. And I know you got to get going, so we'll wrap this up. But you are doing your podcast, Good Day Bitcoin. And then is there any other things you want to mention before we go?
If anyone's in Australia listening to this and you've got a superannuation account, which is like a retirement account, very much look into a self-managed super. It allows you to take control of your retirement money, and you can invest in Bitcoin in self-custody, and you can hold it, which is a super easy way for the average Australian to get a huge chunk of Bitcoin straight away, but it's also a better investment than somebody else investing in something you don't disagree with. I think that's really important. G'dayBitcoin.com, you'll find self-managed super fund. And then just please read the books or eat the bugs. The big print's absolutely phenomenal. I'd start there. I'd follow it up with parallel Or you could start with Bitcoin evangelism and then follow that up with parallel. But read the books or watch what's the problem. If you need help, Staci may recommend to people. I recommend the Bitcoin way. Make sure your seed, most importantly, it's not on paper, stainless steel minimum or titanium. But always pay attention and take it slow.
Was it the Bitcoin advisor you were talking about when you were mentioning
No, it
that?
was not. It was the Bitcoin way. Yeah, with Tony Asbeck. Yeah, yeah. Have you spoken with Tony?
I've spoken with Michael Jordan.
He's a lad.
Yeah, I have an affiliate link with them with the Bitcoin Way. I link all these things in my video. So I'm going
Yeah.
to link everything you mentioned, the books, the videos, every piece of, information or help that you can, put in some work and find out about Bitcoin. It'll all be below anything that you need to help you with your journey and custody and all that stuff. So microseed, of course, microseed, we will link that below too, the best way to store your seed phrase. So thank you so much for your time, for your energy, for your wisdom, and your passion. I wanted to ask you more about your journey and yourself, but we just had such a great talk that we just kept firing it off. We had so many things to talk about. This has been an amazing conversation, and thank you so much for joining me, and maybe we could do it again someday.
Definitely, I look forward to it. It goes without saying, ladies and gentlemen, please do something nice for yourself today. For somebody else out there, over to Staci.
Thank you so much. Have a great day. Take care. Bye.